Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be talking about the World War III update. Donald Trump has sent an urgent message to any citizens in Iran. Evacuate now. Donald Trump is telling all US citizens, and I will read this article to you. I will share it with you guys in a second. Trump's giving people an ultimatum now. Get out of Iran while you can. So I'm just going to share this with you. I'm going to do my opening monologue, and then we're going to talk about the craziness that's been happening around the world. Look, we already know through a series of documentaries that in fact, let me refresh this. I can share it actually. We already know through a series of documentaries that the Iranians have a good amount of sleeper cells here in the United Kingdom. That is one of the reasons why the United Kingdom is not going to be overtly involved in this. US citizens have been told to leave Iran. Hang on. US citizens have been told to leave Iran immediately in a newly released alert from the American virtual embassy. Where's the thing? Here we are, guys. If you cannot leave, find a secure location within your residence or another safe building. Have a supply of food, water, medications, and other essential items. Now, look, guys, before I go into my opening monologue, everybody needs to have these. You know, I get a lot of stuff on the chat. Sean, we need to fight back. Violence is bad, guys. It really is. If anybody's ever been scared, like really scared, scared for your life, you've got children. I think the people who are calling for, maybe violence is the wrong word. I think a lot of people who are calling for like some sort of active measures here in the United Kingdom have never been fearful for their own life. Never been fearful for their own children, never been fearful for where they live, and look, and I'll be quite clear with you guys. I think all wars are ridiculous. I think that we should stop humans, right? We should all stop fighting each other and we should build spaceships. That's what I would prefer. Stop fighting wars. Let's just build spaceships. I'm hoping after these shenanigans are over, we can do that. But, that's what we're going to be talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be talking about the new warning, Donald Trump's new warning to U.S. citizens, leave Iran now. U.S. citizens told to evacuate from the Islamic Republic of Iran as ominous new official warning issued. So let me just jump onto the monologue, and then I will, I'll get onto you guys. I'll jump onto you guys' fantastic chat messages. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the chat and you think what I'm saying is, if you think that wars are necessary, that's absolutely fine. If you're going to call me out, if you're going to do anything, if you've got an adverse opinion, throw it in the chat, articulate it, be polite, and don't block spam. All right. If people are on here, block spamming, you're just going in timeout. Okay. You are just going in timeout. Hang on. I'm going to get this comment here. Mr. Mystery is saying, Sean, did you see Ben Habib's speech today? I caught the back end of Ben Habib's speech. I've not seen it all. I'll try and find it and we'll watch it together. Right. Let me get my opening monologue, guys. Okay. Because it's true. The United States are calling for all US citizens to leave Iran. This normally happens before a good old fisticuffs. So let me just give quick context. This all started back end of December last year. The Iranian currency, economic problems, the Iranian currency tanked hard, hitting insane lows. There was hyperinflation. Food prices shot up like 60 to 70%. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to know what's coming to the United Kingdom, it would not, it's not beyond the realms of possibility for food prices to shoot up this high. Everyday people were struggling just to eat. And this is one of the things, when you're struggling to eat, when you can't afford to put food on the table, you've literally got nothing left to lose. That's why I think universal basic income is going to come. I do, guys. Universal basic income. If universal basic income comes, then those people that are receiving universal, remember, money's not, there's no such thing as money, right? Money is numbers on a screen, especially if you're paying with a card, right? Money is literally numbers on a screen. Trust me, you can print an infinite amount of numbers on a screen. You can, absolutely. So if you look what happened in Iran, people couldn't feed their families, right? People just literally couldn't feed their families. So you had, protests, which turned into riots. I'll come on to that in a second. A way to stop people rioting, just give them universal basic income. Literally give them the bare minimum to survive, and then say, right, listen, you're struggling now. If you go to this protest, we're going to cut you off and you won't have any money. Honestly, guys, it's the ultimate way universal basic income is the ultimate way to control people. So these protests in Iran, they started with shopkeepers in Tehran. It then spread. It exploded nationwide. Protests spread to, I think, over 500 locations, all 31 provinces in Iran, hundreds of cities. People weren't just mad about money anymore. They were chanting for an end to the Islamic Republic. They were chanting for a regime change. They were saying no more clerical rule, real human rights. Some even calling for the son of the Shah, the exiled Shah, to return and take control of the country. The regime hit back brutally. Starting early January, especially around the 8th and the 9th, security forces went full throttle. Live ammunition used on protesters. They imposed one of the longest nationwide internet and mobile phone blackouts ever. But basically, it was martial law, right, in Iran. And this was to potentially hide the scale of violence. Now, some human rights groups, and again, look, when I talk about Iran, anything coming out of Iran, you've got to take with a pinch of salt. Some human rights groups have said that the death toll, and this is the high end, could be up to 30,000. Again, any information that comes out of Iran, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. So this week, I'm talking literally this week, ladies and gentlemen, today or maybe last night, the United States virtual embassy, since there are no real US embassies in Iran, reissued this urgent warning. Leave Iran now. It's aimed at any American citizen still inside Iran. They say increased security, road closures, public transportation is all messed up. Ongoing internet blocks and outages, flights in and out are limited or cancelled randomly. The risks are high. The risk of detention, the risk of worse, the risk of kidnap. The alert says, have a plan to get out that does not rely on the US government. Guys, this is wild. This is imagine getting this on your phone, right? Imagine getting this alert on your phone. I know all you guys have turned your alerts off. I don't want an alert on my phone. I don't want the government alerting me. Look, guys, let me just quickly go on a little side quest. I don't know what might be in my pocket. For those of you, right, and I know you guys don't want, and I know nobody trusts the government. I totally get that, right? I've had my eyes opened like hugely the last couple of days since the Epstein files have been released. If you're turning the alert, the emergency on your phone, you get like a little thing, don't you? You can turn off the emergency alert button or whatever it's called. If you're turning that off, just ask yourself, why are you turning that off? Literally, why are you turning that off? Like, it makes no sense to turn it off. Wouldn't you rather have that information and then act on that information other than, other than not have the information? So but imagine getting this alert state on your phone, all right? And imagine getting an alert that says, have a plan to get out of the United... I'll read you the alert and then I will come back to what it says on the... if you got this to your phone in the UK. So this is what the alert says to the people in Iran. Have a plan to get out that doesn't rely on the US government. That is huge. Preferably by land to Turkey or Armenia. If you can't leave, hunker down in a safe spot, stock food, water, medication, avoid any gatherings, keep a low profile, watch local news, what you can get, and be ready to pivot. Seriously, can you imagine getting something like that on your phone? You know, you're just, I don't know, you're going to answer or whatever, and all of a sudden, beep, 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 or whatever you know, whatever it is vibrates, and you look at your phone, right? If there's like an uncivil war in the United Kingdom and you get the alert on your phone and it says, have a plan to get out of your district, you know, whatever. Yeah, have a plan to get out of Newcastle or Birmingham. You know, let's change out. Let's see if we can do it in real time. Imagine getting an alert on your phone that says, have a plan to get out of Birmingham that does not rely on the government. Preferably walk to, I don't know, wherever. If you can't leave Birmingham, hunker down in a safe spot, stockpile food, water, medication, avoid any gathering, keep a low profile, and watch the local news. Can you imagine the fear? Can you imagine what's going on right now, guys? And all this look, guys, let's all be real. Okay, let's all be real and realistic. The United States will absolutely have plans to strike Iran. 100% they will have plans to strike Iran. Now, this comes as amid bigger tensions. High stakes, indirect nuclear talks in Oman, US military buildup in the region, President Trump's past threats to hit back if the regime keeps killing protesters. It's all laid on top of this fragile post-crackdown calm. Because that's what it is at the moment, guys. It really is the calm before the storm in the Middle East. So, yes, the streets look quieter, but Iran is on an absolute knife edge. Deep throat. I mean, what do you think you like? Can you imagine now if you're one of the Iranian protesters, right? You're one of the Iranian protesters and you're sat there and some of your friends, some of your family have been arrested, right? And you think, well, you know the regime's coming for you next. Can you imagine how terrified you're going to be? You really are going to be absolutely terrified. And all it's going to take is a little bit of a helping hand from the United States. It's literally going to take a tiny little bit of a helping hand from the United States, and those people will come out again. So can you imagine it now, right? You're there, you've been out protesting, you know you're going to get arrested next, and the United States starts bombing and says, right, Iranians, rise up. You see, lessons were learned. Lessons were learned. Sorry, not learned. That's not even a word. You know what? It is a word now. It's a word now. Learned is a word. Learned. Lessons were learned from Iraq 2003. When you go into one of these countries and you try to be like, you try to overthrow the government and you try to give people a better life, you can't please all of the people all the time. And what people didn't realize going into Iraq, and Iraq's next door, is how, I didn't realize this, how difficult things are in the Middle East. You know, it's not the same as, you know, other parts in the world. And a lot of people don't understand this. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've got World War III notice. Evacuate now. Donald Trump orders US citizens to leave Iran as soon as possible. US military strike options, what are they going to be? I would say this has already happened. You know, I would absolutely say there's been, this has already started. I would say these mysterious explosions, I would say they are drone strikes. Right. Oh, hang on a minute. What? Right. Let me search this. Hang on a minute, guys. Hang on. Right. I'm not getting anything. I'm getting a Apophis, but that's April 2029. Is that this year? Right, James, where are you getting that from, mate? If you can tell me where you're getting that from, I'll share it. I don't know where that's coming from. No Good Deals is saying, hoping that sleeper cells that came here 10 years ago and knowing and seeing what the West is like, they're not going to do anything. Hope in a handbag is not going to work. Hope in a handbag is not going to work. Do you know what? I often think this, right? I often think like how many sleeper cells operate. I mean, this absolutely happened in Ukraine, right? This happened in Ukraine. You had all these Russian sleeper cells going into Ukraine to try and destabilize the country, but they just didn't do anything. They literally didn't do anything. They were just living the good life in Ukraine. And then when the invasion came, they was like, oh God. So yeah, I don't know. You would like to think that if any Iranian sleeper cells are operating in the United Kingdom, you would like to think that they're like, well, do you know what? Kind of better kind of have a better quality of life here. That's not the problem, though. The real problem, I think, with sleeper cells is radicalized. I'm going to say, do you know what? It's not. It's people who are radicalized online, right? That is they're the real sleeper cells, I think, and it's not. They're not sleeper cells, because a sleeper cell normally would be somebody that emigrates to another country with a secret mission, then they do that secret mission. And again, we're going to have to, once this is over, everything's going to be changed. Everything's going to change. All the names and it's not going to be. They're not going to be sleeper cells. They're going to be called something else. It's not going to be called Civil War. It's going to be called something else. But right now we have this fascinating, we've given ourselves this fascinating dynamic where we're all interconnected by the internet, right? We are all everybody. I can see something somewhere in the world, take a picture of it, like a picture of Epstein, post it online, and then literally within seconds, somebody else can be seeing that around the world, and then I can send him a message, right? Literally, I can take a picture right now, post it online, and then 10 seconds later, somebody can see that picture and send me a direct message. Just think about how that's changed everything. So the real threat, it's not from traditional sleeper cells as such. It's from people who born and bred in the United Kingdom or the West, and they have been radicalized online. That's the real threat, guys. That is the real threat. And you know what? Maybe even they're not maybe they're not even radicalized. Maybe, just maybe, criminal gangs like to get paid. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what's happening, guys. I don't know. Right, listen, let me jump down and get some more comments, and then we will continue. Mr. Muppet saying, seems like you're another plant for the system. Razz us up with the truth and de-escalate us in the same show. You see, I always listen, Mr. Muppet, right? You see, when people tell me that I'm, some sort of plant for the system, I get called a Zionist shill. I get called all sorts of stuff. When people call it me, and I think other people are like plants and shills. I mean, earlier on we was talking about Pizzagate, right? So I've got all this information in my head, and I'm thinking, right, I'm getting called a plant, like Mr. Muppet features here, and that's your name. I'm not being disrespectful. That's literally your name on the screen. So I think to myself, right, all those people that I think are a plant and a shill, are they really, or are people just trying to figure things out? Right, I'm just going to jump to the bottom, guys. There's loads of comments. James is saying, Sean, 4 Freundschaftstron. Right, okay. Right, hang on. Comet CA1. Right, hang on. Give me a second. You said it was an asteroid. Right, got it from the astronomy magazine. Right, thank you. Right, right, I've got this. Reject. Right, let me share this. Listen, all wars, right? All wars are terrifying. You know what's more terrifying than any war? Forget war. Do you know what's more terrifying than any war? A comet or an asteroid. Because, like, doesn't matter how good your army is, doesn't matter how good your special forces are, doesn't matter how big your air force is. If we get hit by a comet of the right size or an asteroid, it's game over and there's nothing we can do. Zero. We can't do anything. Right. Hang on. Let me share this with you. I forgot I'll share. There we are. Right. Take that off. So James has just told me about a comet that's on its way. He said asteroid first. That's why I got swizzled. So here we are. A new comet was just discovered. It will be visible in broad daylight. Well, will it be visible in broad daylight? Could comet C1 be the next great comet? I don't like this, guys. Discovered in January, this sun-grazing comet may be visible in broad daylight this April. So it may be. A newly discovered comet. Quickly. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to scan through this. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's coming close to Earth, but the thing is, right, we only look, guys, and what I'll say with this is I am a space nerd, guys. I make no apologies. This has just been found on I think January the 6th, so yesterday, I believe. I caveat in this, I may be slightly wrong. I'm not meaning to mislead anyone. But this comet has just been found on February the 6th, right? That's going to be potentially visible in broad daylight mid-April, right? So, February, March. We've got like maybe 2 months. Can you, and this was only just, so we've got 2 months, right? Can you imagine if this was heading straight for Earth, literally heading straight for Earth, and we had 2 months? Literally, what's like, what are you going to do in 2 months? Yeah, we've got an asteroid heading towards us, a comet heading towards us. It's a civilization killer. It's going to hit us in 2 months. Even right now, guys, I'm feeling dread. Honestly, just saying that out loud, I'm feeling dread. I'm feeling dreadful. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining for the first time, we are talking about the news, the World War III news. Evacuate now is the message from the United States government. That's the message to people in Iran. I'm going to read you the message. I will read this again later on. But what I want to do is I just want everybody to take notes from this and understand that if we head into a state of civil war in the United Kingdom, which I think it's inevitable, I think it's absolutely inevitable that happens. It's kind of going to be like that, but where are you going to go to? Because airports, hospitals, shopping centers, they will all get taken down. Straight away, they will get taken down in a civil conflict because whatever group will want to control that, right? So it's going to be virtually impossible to leave the United Kingdom. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to get a plane from where? Where are you going to fly from? What are you going to get on a boat and, get on a rubber dinghy and go back to Calais? So what I want everybody, I'll read this again. So the message from the alert, basically, and I think this is fair that everybody needs to take this on board, right? The message, the alert, sent by the United States to the people, to US citizens in Iran was, have a plan to get out that does not rely on the United States government. Can you imagine being a US passport holder? I don't know how many are in Iran that are not spies, but can you imagine being in Iran? I don't know. I've got nothing that's passport size. With your US passport, right? And you get the alert saying, have a plan to get out that doesn't rely on me. And you're like, oh, Okay. I can remember when I can remember in Iraq back in the day, I think 6 or 4, 5, 6, basically, where there was a lot of people having things removed. And a lot of those people had lived in Iraq a long time. They were British citizens, you know, and they'd lived in Iraq a long time. They, you know, they had, you know, friends and family. The problem is in these parts of the world, when you have these radicalist ideologies, they will just go looking for someone. It doesn't matter how good a person he or she is. They will literally just go looking for someone. They will go looking for someone, as they did in Iraq. There's a few incidents, you know, there's a few of these. So imagine that, guys, all right? When your own government is saying, don't rely on us, have a plan to get out, but do not rely on us. So I'll read you the message now. I've just said, have a plan, but do not rely on the US government. Preferably by land to Turkey, Armenia. If you can't leave, hunker down in a safe spot. Stock food, water, meds. Avoid any gatherings. Keep a low profile. Watch local news, what you can get. Be ready to pivot. I'll tell you this, guys, right? If this happens and you are, imagine getting that and you're in Birmingham or whatever, you know, if this happens and you are in that scenario, you have to be disciplined, right? You literally have to be disciplined. Don't turn your taps on. Don't turn your electricity on. You literally stay there and you don't make a peep. You don't make a peep. If you're in one of these apartment blocks, right, you don't make a peep. You don't turn your taps on. You don't turn your electricity on. Maybe your heating if it's really cold. I wouldn't risk it. Depends how much noise it's going to make. Because all those things are tells that somebody's in there, right? And this is why I always say, make sure you know, bugging in most contexts is better than bugging out. It really is. You know, bugging in is better than bugging out. Think about all the stuff you can imagine it now. You're a US citizen, right? Imagine it. You're a US citizen, you're in Iran, and you get this message. You can't fly out. What are you going to do? You're going to put your backpack on and go walking off into the desert? Literally, good luck. Honestly, good luck with that. It's not going to happen, is it? So that's what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. And there's an asteroid on its way. Not an asteroid, a comet on its way as well. Dirt and Water is saying, why would anyone be in Iran? People have friends, people have family there, you know, people live there, you know, and that's just the reality. We're in this multi-dimensional world where we all live everywhere. Oh, hang on a minute. Mr. Muppet says, I'm not going to call you what your name is because it feels insulting. These parts of the world are here rent-free at the taxpayer's privilege. Well, surely at the taxpayer's expense. And our girls, yeah. Mr. Muppet, I'm agreeing with you. Mr. Muppet, I agree with you. I agree with you. So I don't know why you're calling me a shill. Oh, Boggy's here. We love Boggy. I love Boggy. Raven, you should worry about yourself. Oh, thank you. If there is a war between USA and Iran, you start saving money because you are going to have a recession faster than your asteroid can fly by. Yeah, Boggy, like that's, yeah, that makes sense. I don't, Boggy, I love your comments, mate, but like, yes, you should worry about yourself. If there is a war between the USA and Iran, equals you should start saving money because you are going to have a recession faster than your asteroid can fly by. Yeah, we know that. we know that. Yeah, I know. Another true comment is, in a war, bad things happen. So I don't know where you're going with that. Open your drawers, scatter your clothes, leave a note on the table that you have gone looking for someone, then hide. Yeah, look, guys, you know, if you guys are watching the news, look, if you guys have been watching my videos, a couple of years ago, I said Trump will go into Iran March 2026. Takes time for this build-up, right? Takes time for the rhetoric. Takes time to get all those assets in place. The manpower, getting the troops, that's the easy bit. That is the easy bit. The food, the water, the ammunition, the spare ammunition, the spare ammunition, all that sort of stuff takes time to get in there. Donna Prepper is saying Iranian government are deceiving their own people. What they are doing with the so-called talks are crap. They are buying time to prepare for the war. The war is inevitable. I agree. I agree, Donna. You know, this, look, you know what? I don't just agree. I've been telling you guys this is coming for a long time. For a long time, I've been saying this is coming, and it does look like every day that gets closer, every day that moves closer to that day, it looks like the likelihood is going up. So you're absolutely right, Donna. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, Lewis is saying, I love Boggy. There's a fly in here. Where did that come from? Boggy, you're out. I do. I love Boggy. I love Boggy as well. Boggy's great. Well, I'm going to put a pride flag up. I'm going to put a pride flag up, and I'm going to put all the woke flags. I'm going to get all the flags out, mate. I'm going to get all the flags out. I'm going to have the woke flags. I'm just going to have everything up there, right? I'm not taking any chances. I'm not taking any chances when it comes. Civil unrest is the government fighting itself. Mass civil unrest is uncontrollable. I don't think it's going to be that. It's going to be long and protracted. It is. It's going to be long and protracted. It's going to be very difficult to. We've already seen these things start, right? We've already seen the curry wars. You know, the curry wars in. The curry in Manchester. You know, we've seen the curry wars in Manchester where you've got Syrian refugees fighting Kurdish refugees. We've seen it in Leicester where you've got Pakistanis fighting Indians over a cricket game. So when these things flare up, there's so many divisional lines, and one divisional line that people don't talk about is the geographical lines. So, for example, you will have city folk potentially at war with country folk, because all the people in the cities, they're going to want to get out of the city, right? They're going to want to just like get out of those cities, because think how densely packed the cities are in the United Kingdom. They're ridiculous. Like, the United Kingdom is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. And it's getting, more and more dense every day. We're getting more and more new people here, and people don't take that into consideration when they're planning their, when they're making their plans. Basically, 2000 and I think it was 10 or whatever. I don't know, 9, 10, 11. I can't remember what year it was. There was a huge snowstorm in the UK. And it came out on the news. Tesco's are not going to be resupplying their stores, right? For until the snow is gone, because the roads were just too bad. And I lived quite close to one of the big Tesco's. So I walked down there. It was bad. There was snow everywhere. You couldn't drive. So I walked down to the Tesco's, and people were fighting over loaves of bread. Bear in mind, Tesco had not said they'd run out of food. They were just saying, we're not going to be able to resupply our stores for a couple of days while there's bad snow. Everybody lost their mind. And I saw this. I witnessed it. So can you imagine the uptick? Can you imagine the uptick if the supermarkets say, yeah, we can't get any food in because the ports, the shipping into we import most of our food in the UK. Let's just say that the Felixstowe gang and the Dover gang, let's just say the hypothetical scenario now, ladies and gentlemen, okay, totally hypothetical scenario for entertainment purposes. Let's just say that the civil wars broke out in the United Kingdom, right? civil unrest, uncivil war, whatever you want to call it. And the Dover gang, whoever's controlling Dover, whatever faction of whatever is controlling Dover, and whatever faction are controlling Felixstowe, imagine if they say, oh, well, let's put our heads together and let's control the food, because that's where the food goes in, right? That's where the food comes over from France, from, you know, and anything else comes from Felixstowe. So you can understand really quickly how we would run out of food in the United Kingdom. Do you know what? Let me ask AI. Let me ask AI how much food if So I've just asked AI, if there was no more food imports into the United Kingdom, Jesus Christ. Wow. So I've just asked AI, oh, hang on. Do you know what? I think I did a video on this, actually. Yeah. So I've just asked AI, if there was no more food imports into the United Kingdom, how long before we ran out of food? So an AI says, if all food imports into the United Kingdom stopped immediately, the country would likely run out of its own produced food within 7 to 8 months, a date often referred to by the National Farmers Union as Self-Sufficiency Day, which usually falls in, right, yeah, do you know what? I can remember this, yeah. So, yeah. So every year, the Farmers Union come out and they say, right, you know what, this is actually a thing. The Farmers Union, every year, they come out and they say, right, we are at Self-Sufficiency Day, basically. They quantify how much food they've produced that year, whatever it may be. And they say, right, this food would last until this day. And normally it's 7 to 8 months. Now, I'm going to put something out there, right? I think the actual... I think that number is a lot shorter. I do. I think that number is a lot shorter. Why? Well, what's going to happen, right, if that does happen? That didn't make sense. So if, for whatever reason, the food imports just stop, you know, let's just pretend that tomorrow morning we wake up and the government, Keir Starmer's on the news and he's saying, yes, do you know what? I heard a rumor about Keir. I'll come on to that afterwards. So all food imports have stopped. There's no more food coming in. Everybody's going to rush out to buy shit, right? And the shelves will go bare real quick. The shelves will go bare real quick. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but Sean, that food will be in our cupboards. A percentage of it will be. But there's also going to be a percentage of food that's going off, that's wasted. Because don't forget, when food's stored, it's stored professionally, right? When you take that food off the shelf, and store it incorrectly, then that food sell-by date's going down, and people will absolutely do that. People will absolutely do that. Mark my words, people will do that, and there will be a lot of food thrown away. There'll be people looking at the dates and saying, this has gone past its sell-by date, and they'll be throwing it out. And you'll be like, whoa, you're gonna be in a couple of months, you're probably gonna be fighting for stuff like that. So self-sufficiency levels in the United Kingdom, the UK only produces about 58% of the food it consumes. The UK relies heavily on imports for roughly 40% of its food, with this dependency rising for certain products. Key vulnerabilities: fruit and vegetables, they're massive vulnerability. We import 93% of our fruit. I didn't know that. In the United Kingdom, we import 93%. So forget fruit's gone. Produce like rice, bananas, tea, coffee cannot be grown in the United Kingdom. Yeah, so like tea. Guys, listen, can you imagine if we run out of tea in the United Kingdom? That's when World War III starts, right? Meat and dairy. The United Kingdom is is strong in the meat and dairy production, while the United Kingdom is strong in the meat and dairy production, it still relies on imports for a significant portion of its total needs. People are just going to have to grow their own, right? That people are literally going to have to grow their own. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are off on a side quest. Let's bring this back. Let's bring this back because the United States of America have issued a warning to every US citizen in Iran. Leave now. US citizens told to evacuate the Islamic Republic as ominous official warning reissued. That's what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. And as we move forward, does anybody think that like there's not going to be some missile strikes or, you know, something? US citizens have been told to leave Iran immediately in a newly released alert from the American Virtual Embassy. The warning encourages citizens to depart Iran by land to Turkey or Armenia. Yeah, that's wild. You know, that's absolutely wild. It says increased security measures, road closures, public transport disruptions and internet blockages are still ongoing in the Islamic Republic, despite vicious protests having cooled since January. Leave Iran now. Have a plan for departing that does not rely on the US government. Can you imagine how terrified you're going to be? Honestly, can you imagine like you're there, you know, you've got your wife, you've got your kids. We just need to stop. Honestly, I get it, right? We all want to be competitive. We all want to be competitive, right? We all want to be competitive. We all want to, you know, we all want to be competitive. We all want to, you know, be the best. Why don't we just build spaceships? Literally, why don't we just build spaceships? Other than stuff that just, like, think about how, I say this all the time. Think about how much money we spend on stuff that just destroys. Think about it. Artillery shells. Get right. I'm just going to ask AI now. Give me a second. How I've just asked AI how many artillery shells as of February. So you'll see where I'm going, guys. I'm going to do some Raven maths, okay? As of February 2025, so a while ago, the UK has delivered over 500,000 rounds of artillery ammunition to Ukraine since the full-scale invasion. The total support valued at 1 billion. So can you see where I'm going with this? 1 billion, right? 1 billion pound has been spent on artillery. And what do you get for that? You get destruction. Because the thing itself just blows up, right? So the money's gone. Not only does it blow up, but it blows up something else, right? Think if you divided that by like, I don't know, like £1,000 or something, and gave that as grants to people who are struggling, bought them food, put it down as a deposit for as a bond for somewhere to live for the homeless. That's stuff that has quantity, right? Other than artillery rounds that just blow up. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Right, let me get some comments, guys. Let me get some comments. KTIC is saying, not a pet frog, I mean a pet, right, okay, a pet dog. I don't know what that means. James is saying, as long as there's a fish and chips shop in Grimsby, we'll be okay. Yeah, so for those guys who don't know, I think Cleethorpes and Grimsby are going to be... So for those of you guys who don't know, Cleethorpes and Grimsby, it's more or less the same place. I don't know why they're called different places because, like, the mass is exactly the same. So I've been saying to people that I believe Cleethorpes and Grimsby are going to be strongholds. They are their geographical location. They're on the coast. There's a dock, and they're easily defendable. Donna is saying the US Air Force is flying a lot of transports into Armenia, which borders Iran to the south and has been for the past 2 weeks of the region. Let me have a look on the map here. Let me just have a look at here on the map. Yeah. Okay, let me get this on the map. Sorry, let me share it with you. So obviously you've got Iran here. Armenia doesn't border it. Oh, I'm looking at Iraq. So you've got Iran, and this is where the US military, where the US are telling people to evacuate. They're telling people to go northwest, either make it over the border here into Turkey or into Armenia. Into Armenia, which is, they're on that northern region. That's going to be a big trek, right? That's going to be a big trek. So maybe the US military are planning opening checkpoints. So maybe they're gonna have some sort of maybe they're going to have some sort of force come down from the north. If we understand that the nuclear sites are in this northern region, allegedly, and look, I don't know what other sites there are in Iran, but that's where I can't draw on this map. I don't like this map. So that's where the US are telling their citizens to go, either north to Armenia or west to Turkey. So you can imagine, right? If you are like, I don't know, Iran's a big place, right? Imagine if you're down there on the south coast or something, and you've got to make it all the way up there. That is a huge trek. Can you imagine doing that? Imagine doing that huge trek with your US passport in a car, going through checkpoints, going through military, going through groups of military that will be on the streets. Terrifying, guys. Absolutely. You're doing that with kids. You've imagine how fearful you're going to be with your children. Imagine, and people don't understand, like, when. Imagine how fearful, right? Imagine you're driving, right? You've got your kids in the car. This is the bad shit that happens, right? You're driving, got your kids in the back, and you get stopped by the military. They're hostile. They drag you out the car. They drag your kids out the car. You will do anything. And I don't care who you are. You will do anything to see your children again. I don't care who you are. So when people are talking about, like, fighting, I'm going to stick my chest out. Yeah, as soon as kids get involved, it's just not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Right, there's loads of comments, guys. I do apologize if I'm not getting everybody's comments. John is saying, I would just like to say you are wrong, Sean. Burrow in burners, who definitely the place to defend. I don't know. Do you mean Burrow in Furness? Do you mean Burrow in Furness, who definitely the place to defend? It's an absolute cold the stack. Take a look on your map. John, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean, John. If John's still on, can you give me more context? Burrow in burners. I don't know what that means, mate. Is John still on? Is John still on? I hope John's still on. Holly is saying Turkey and Yemen is like a bad people wonderland training. You see, I've spent quite a bit of time in Turkey. I've never been to Yemen. I didn't get that from Turkey. Again, I've not been out in the, I've not been out in like the the countryside or whatever in Turkey. But I didn't get that from Turkey. I thought Turkey was all right. Danielle is saying they are doing it, so we eventually think it's normal. And Sajika with a fantastic thumbnail. What is that? That's like some sort of like, I don't know, some like gears or cogs or something. He's saying, be bad if the dad was bad in the car, though. Yeah, I think, so I think what Sajika's talking about there is, just put yourself in that scenario. Imagine that fear. You come up to the checkpoint and there's a hostile military and they're dragging people out and you've got your US passport, right? You've got your American passport because you want to let people know that you're an American when you get to the other side, but then you're getting searched. James is saying the international, that year again, everything's coming around 2020-30, right? Everything's coming around 2020-30. 2020-30. The International Space Station is being pulled out of orbit and will crash into an ocean. But yeah, normally they crash them into, what is it? Is it the, it's where allegedly MH370 went down. Is it like, it's not the Indian, it's like, it's southwest, or it's called the it's called the satellite graveyard. It's where they crash all the satellites. Oh, there's loads of comments. I'm part of the guest team. Iranians and the IRGC, on the other hand, do need to worry. Guys, I don't know what this means. I don't know what these mean. Danielle is saying Trump was mentioned in the Epstein files more times than Harry Potter was in all 7 books. Surely not. Surely not. That's impossible, right? That's impossible because, like, the books are about Harry Potter. Surely that's not right. If you know what's coming, right? This is what I said, like a couple of weeks ago. I was looking and I was saying, guys, something huge is about to happen. The price of gold, the price of silver, Bitcoin, precious, everything, US stocks, everything was just started to tank, just in free fall, in absolute free fall, all at the same time. Right, we are witnessing a huge sell-off right now. We're witnessing a huge sell-off before the normies see what's happening and they decide to sell. So all these people who, look, guys, this is not financial advice. Absolutely not financial advice. I'm absolutely not qualified to give anyone financial advice. But can you imagine if you're holding on to Bitcoin? Look, I don't know whether it's going to go up or down. I don't think anyone does. But can you imagine, right, if you're holding on to Bitcoin now because you don't want to sell at a loss and you're waiting for it to go back up? And it goes down to 0. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how much money will have been just like, and where will that money have gone as well? Where will that money have gone? Same with gold. If you're buying stocks and shares and stuff online and you've got numbers on a screen, I don't know why, that's different to if you're actually going in the store and you've got like a gold coin or a silver coin, I think that does have some utility. Right, let me try and get this. Oh, hang on a minute. Tanking gold coins. Oh no, alien invasion. Right. Ben Habib's advance party to ban public Muslim call to prayer, ban cousin marriage, ban the burqa, ban Sharia courts. Like that seems right, doesn't it? That seems right. Like in the United Kingdom, these Muslim call to prayers. I don't mind it when I'm in the Middle East. When I used to live in I don't even think they have them in Baghdad that often. No, they don't have them in Baghdad. I can't remember ever hearing one in Baghdad. Maybe on a Friday they would do it on the tannoys. But yeah, can you imagine living somewhere next to a mosque and like 5 times a day you've got this? It's horrible. Not only because, you know, and you're watching what's happening to your country. Imagine you're an old person, right? Imagine you're like 60 or 70 and you've lived through all of this, right? You've lived through all of this and you can remember, you know, you're a war baby, right? You're a war baby. You know, your parents were boomers, right? And you can remember how good things were when you were a kid. Can you imagine now you're looking at your town and it's just totally changed? Your town, your city is totally changed. And now you're listening to this call to prayer and you understand the undertones of that, right? Banning cousin marriage. Like, I can't even think, like, I don't even know why that's a thing, right? I don't know why that's a thing. It's just like, listen, and, you know, I'm not. Why would you want why would a brother and sister want their kids to get married? It's just, oh, God. No, it's horrible. It's horrible to think about it. Ban the burqa and ban Sharia courts. Yeah, I think that the thing here with the Sharia courts is eventually, if those Sharia courts are let to run, you're going to, you know, these things are going to start, people are going to start, for example, like, where do you go with this? Is there, at some point there will be, you know, if they're not banned, they'll be given some legal credibility. Sean, get Donna's post. Right, hang on, let me find Donna's post. Donna. Ah. A total, whoa. Okay, right, okay, so when, yeah, this is gonna, guys, look, is anybody under any illusion right now that this is not gonna happen? Is anybody under any illusion that this is not going to happen? We were talking like a couple of days ago about the there were 10 C-17 military transport aircraft, and they landed in the UK. And what I said about that is, I said, look, that is one time Special Forces task group. Absolutely, that's one time Special Forces task group. Now, 112 C-17s, like that, you can't imagine what they're carrying, right? Remember, I would say this is logistics. I would say this is food, water, because that stuff needs to be given to those soldiers, right? Sending the soldiers is the easy bit, right? It's this military buildup, you know, this military buildup, it takes time. It takes time, guys, all right? Think how much food one person eats. Then times that by 300,000. Getting the humans there is easy. The humans can be forward mounted to RAF Akateria. So, yeah, we said this was going to happen, didn't we? We said this was going to be the slow build-up. Remember, what did I say? Boots on the ground, March 2026. I can't read that. Iran is rapidly restoring missile sites and nuclear facilities or damaged in the 12-day war, New York Times. So, yeah, look, guys, we're seeing this now. If anyone's old enough to have lived through the build-up to the war in Iraq in 2003, the build-up to the war in Iraq, you know, it was Iraq has Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein's banned weapons inspectors. Saddam Hussein can deploy weapons of mass destructions within like 45 minutes or whatever it was. I was at home on it was Christmas Eve, right? I was at home on Christmas Eve. All the build-up was on the TV, right? You had this huge build-up on the TV. Everybody was talking about, the reporters were out there. Everybody was talking. I got a phone call from the guard room. Yep, hello. Yep, right, yeah. You're coming back early off leave. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you're coming back early off leave. Not telling you why, you just need to be back early off leave. So that was it. Christmas leave was called early. Went back. It was mad. Like, we went back, we all started getting issued respirators and desert clothes, like desert camouflage clothes, but nobody would tell us why we were getting issued. I was just thinking, like, we're not stupid. It's all over the news, right, that Iraq's going to kick off. We're getting issued desert kit. We're getting issued fresh respirators, nuclear biological NBC suits, and then we did like this massive training exercise. So, yeah, the build-up will have already happened. And these things have already been put in place. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna run through this again, and I'll start to close this live stream down. We have been talking about the World War III evacuation notice that the United States have given all US citizens now in Iran. I'll share this with you guys just quickly. Leave now. US citizens told to evacuate the Islamic Republic of Iran as ominous official warning issued. So for those of you guys who don't know, maybe you're watching for the first time, maybe you've been living in a cave, it's looking like we are heading to an absolute kaboomer in the Middle East. The alert message has been issued to any US citizens via the US virtual embassy, because there's no real embassy in Iran. The message is plain and simple: leave Iran now. It's aimed at any US citizen still there. They say increased security, road closures, roadblocks, checkpoints, public transport, ongoing internet blocks and outages, and flights are limited or cancelled. Risks are high. Detention, worse, kidnap, charges of terrorism, wrongful arrests. The alert is clear. And I'm going to read the alert. I've read it. I think this is the third time I've read it. What I want you guys to understand is we are not too far away from that alert hitting your phones in the United Kingdom, where a civil conflict has erupted. So this is in response to Iran, but imagine you're getting this message. So this is the message. This is the emergency message. Essentially, have a plan to get out of Iran that does not rely on the US government, preferably by land to Turkey or Armenia. If you can't leave, hunker down in a safe spot, stockpile food, water, medication, avoid any gatherings, keep a low profile, watch the local news if you can, and be ready to move. One thing that people don't mention on here when they say stockpile food and water, especially if you're in an apartment block, you want that door shut, wedged, jammed, however you do, because where do you go at, is there, right? If you're in an apartment, right, there's nowhere you can go. And I can't imagine the terror and the horrors. I watched a transcript from it wasn't a transcript, it was a clip from a movie, Blood Diamond, with Leonardo DiCaprio. And Leonardo DiCaprio is talking about the things. If you guys have seen the movie, you'll know the part. He explains what happened to his mum and dad. You can't imagine the horrors that people will do to each other. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. I see no, it makes no sense. Makes no, but it happens, right? It happens. And can you imagine, right? Being in an apartment block with your kids. I mean, you've all heard the story of Anne Frank, right? You're in an apartment block with your kids and you can't get out. You look out at Birmingham, Manchester, London, wherever it may be, you know, Iran, Tehran. You're in an apartment block. You look out. Yeah, we can't go onto them. We cannot go onto the street. Why? Look down there. There's people throwing. It's just carnage, right? You're not going to go down, especially with your kids. You're not going to do that. So now you're hiding in your apartment, right? You're hiding in your flat. You're scared. You do not want to turn those taps on. You do not want to turn those lights on. You don't want to turn the TV on. You don't want to turn the radio. You want to have, if you're going to have, I should have the volume off, only have the TV on at daytime, so then you won't see any reflection. You don't want anyone to know you're there. And people think that, oh, you know what? I've got my food and water. I'm going to hunker down. No. You're not going to be having a party, living your best life with all your lights on. You will attract attention to yourself and people will come and first of all, people may just want to come and take your shit. Opportunist thieves, marauders. When I was in Syria, I don't know if you guys, when I had the map on then, you guys could see the some of the dots I had on the screen in Syria where I used to work. The first thing I did into the villas that we were at, we just, I got bars put on the windows. And people thought I was silly. They said, oh, Sean, why are you having bars on the windows? I'm like, when these marauding gangs try and, they're marauding the streets, they're going to be looking for easy targets. They're going to be looking for quick, fast wins, right? So if they can see you there, right, you've got all your supplies, you've got your food, your water, you've got all your ribeye. You've just made a lovely beef Wellington. The chimney's billowing with smoke and you and your family are all there. Oh, it's nice. Everything's nice. Oh, we're fine. Yeah. The bad people who want your ribeye? Guess what? When the police don't come, when the police have been subverted and the police are too busy locking someone up for a Facebook post, they're going to take your ribeye. And people do wild things, guys. Don't underestimate how quickly things can go from like civilized to uncivilized, like that. Drop of a hat, people will go crazy, especially if they think they can get away with it. Be aware, be warned of people. Sean, we need more pre-video chat reference preps for newbies. Thank you for the super, Lisa Jane. Yeah, we will. I'm just at this stage now where I'm looking at people's perception of reality right now. And I'm looking at how I'm looking at how I've seen things go real bad real quick in other parts of the world. And I'm thinking about all the, all the pressure that's on the United Kingdom at the moment. The political system in free fall, the finances in free fall, cost of living skyrocketing. I think the only way to, honestly, and I know this is wild, and you guys are going to think I'm a shill for saying this. I think one of the only ways to stop civil unrest, it's a draconian state. It's totalitarianism. It's a totalitarianism surveillance state where you've got universal basic income. Everybody has to have a digital ID. everybody has to have their phone on them constantly, right? And think about this, right? When the government, they want everybody to keep their phone on them. So to keep your universal basic income, right? If you get a beep on your phone, you've got 15 minutes to respond and show your face. So the government know where you are because they can track you on your phone. These things will be in place. These things will be in place. And what they'll say is, if you don't do as you're told, we will turn off your universal basic income. Bowser Head Teacher is saying, we are living in 1984. It feels like we're in the book 1984, doesn't it? How they said Big Brother is watching on the TV screen. Big Brother is watching on the. I don't know if you've read the book. I don't know if anybody's read the book, but what they describe in that. Remember, this book was written in 1948, right? This book was written in 1948. What he describes is everybody's got like a TV, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's something. But basically, everybody's got a TV screen in their house, and the TV has a camera facing them. So you all have to sit there, and like Big Brother is watching, and you don't know if anybody's watching, and everything you say is recorded. Pretty much where we're going with our phones, right? With our phones. Band again, he's saying, don't die on your knees. CCTV needs the grid, but it will all go down, including phones. Orwell was writing about the Fabians, Sean. Jay, was he really? Paul J. Connolly, was he? Hang on, give me a second. I don't know if that's true. That sounds like that's true. Let me Google this. Wow. Guys, listen, every day a school day, right? Every day a school day. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to share with you guys what AI says, right? I'm going to share with you guys what AI says, right? So I didn't realize this. I did not realize this. So I've spelt it wrong, obviously. I'll share the screen with you guys, okay? I did not realize this, okay? So, the title's origin, the year 1984 may have been chosen as an allusion to the centenary of the Fabian Society, which was founded in 1884. I did not know that, guys. I did not know. Look, it's not giving us a definitive answer, but I'm going to go with it, guys. I did not realize. I am going to go with that. I am. Thank you for, While some theories suggest the title honors the 1884 founding of the Fabian Society, the novel's core message warns against authoritarian control and bureaucratic power. Thank you. Everyday school day. More messages of Donna. Where's messages of Donna? Sean, I agree with Lisa. I can also send messages to ignite your thoughts, your military experiences, everything you used to be, just as I do. Teach, prep, and repair. When would we do this? When would we do this? Would this be like a pre-meeting or like an after meeting? And so Yes, we will do this, guys. Absolutely, we will do this. We will 100% do this. We will 100% do this. I just need to figure out when. Maybe like, do you want to do it a live stream, maybe in the afternoon, or you guys tell me when. We'll figure it out. KT, I see, is saying my dog, bless her, just came in season. Right, okay. I'm not repeating that. I'm not repeating that. Why is that small heart bankers, globalist, communist Fabians want to enslave us? I don't know. I don't know. You see, I often think about this with anyone who wants to take over, right? With anyone that wants to take, like for me, right? For me, I feel that humanity should go into the stars, get a base on the, take a base on the moon, then Mars, then maybe Venus, you know, and spread out through the solar system, and then, you know, keep pushing, right? I don't understand people, you know, like who want this system of totalitarian control where they control what you see, eat, think. I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it. So yeah, I wish I had an answer. I really don't. But I often think of that because what happens, you know, what happens when you've taken over? What, you know, literally what happens when you've taken over? You know, let's say the Fabians take over, right? The Fabians have taken over. Then what? Like, what do you do next? You know, or whoever takes over. Let's just say that, you know, that there's, you know, we are now a full Muslim world, right? We're all Muslim, right? We're praying 5 times. Then what? Then what do you do? Literally, what do you do then? Then what do you do? Any scenario, the next step is to go into space, right? Any scenario, the next step is to go into space. So why don't we just do that anyway? You know, I don't know why that happens. You know, I just don't know why that happens. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. I think naturally space is the next frontier. We need to get there as quickly as possible. We do. Listen, guys, I don't want to be I don't want to go space geek. I don't. Sean, if you had £1 billion, 100 billion, would you want to influence governments? No, I literally build spaceships. I wouldn't care. I would build spaceships and I would want to get off the planet as quickly as possible. You might not be able to do it for 100 billion. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. I'm going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic. I think we should. I know you guys are wanting to do like preparation videos and stuff. We'll do what we can. All right, we'll do what we can. What I don't want to run into though, because I've done a lot of teaching. Like I've done a lot of teaching, I've done a lot of lecturing, and what I don't want to do is, because everybody's situation is going to be different, right? Literally, no, I can guarantee that no 2 people are in the same scenario. You might have kids, you might not have kids. Your kids might have left. You might live in a house. You might live in the countryside. You might live in flats. You might have a car. You might have 2 cars. You might have a van. So everybody's scenario is different. So there's no one size fits all. And I'm just really conscious in going down that road of this is what you do, this is what you don't do. Right, listen, guys, I am going to close this down. I keep saying that. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. I bid you all a good evening. Yeah, Danielle, in fact, hang on. There's Danielle's comment? There. Danielle's comment. Yeah, apparently it's Armageddon today. World War III is starting tomorrow, allegedly. I don't think it will, guys. But listen, you know, with the build-up in Iran, who knows? Who knows? We'll talk about it tomorrow morning. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'll bid you all good evening, and I'll bid you all good evening. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 10.